the next speaker we have with us is Honorable Molly M. Monk. She's a graduate of the University of Western Ontario. Molly earned a bachelor's degree in sociology while minoring both criminology and political science. Molly is currently employed as a kitchen designer and enjoys keeping up to date on current topics on sociology and politics. Molly will address current societal issues that women face and explore universal basic income as means to empower women. Welcome, Molly, and we open the stage for your comments. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Molly Monk. I am incredibly thankful to be able to speak with everyone today on a topic that is incredibly important to me. I am so grateful for Jaihind People's Movement for holding this conference and allowing us a forum to discuss crucial issues facing our world today. I'd also like to express my gratitude to Jaihind People's Movement founder, Dr. Surdhir Tamba, first woman mayor of Sangané, Turgate Tamba, and Dr. Gavandi for giving me this opportunity to discuss women's empowerment. Without question, worldwide, women experience higher rates of poverty. This cannot be attributed to just one cause. White women in America still earn, on average, 82 cents for every dollar earned by a white man. This divide is even worse when looking at other ethnicities that live in the United States, the worst being Alaskan Native women earning 57 cents for every dollar a white male earns. Not only is there a wage gap that exists for the exact same work, there is also a gap in the type of work. In many low-wage occupations, women are more largely represented. There is a cultural expectation that women's work is low-skilled and there is systemic undervaluing of women's labor. In 2018, the two occupations that held most commonly by women had a median wage close to or below the poverty line. Women are underrepresented in high-wage occupations. Women are more likely to be children's primary caretakers. Women are more likely to be single parents. Furthermore, the United States is an outlier among most developed countries in that it fails to guarantee proper access to paid family, medical, and sick leave. Since women perform a majority of caregiving duties, they are more likely to forego their career opportunities in order to focus on their families. Persistent domestic violence worsens a woman's economic standing. The WHO estimates 1 in 3 women experience some form of violence. There is a cycle of violence that disproportionately affects low-income women. All these factors are what keep women trapped in the cycle of poverty. What I would like to propose is not a perfect solution to all the issues above, but given the available data, it is something that needs to be explored further. That is why I propose we explore the idea of implementing a universal basic income program. By universal basic income, I mean giving people a basic pay, unconditionally, individualized, and universal. Every person is given the same amount of money to be used without restrictions, however the person wants. Quoting sociologist Anthony Giddens, all human beings are knowledgeable agents. That is to say, all social actors know a great deal about the conditions and consequences of what they do in their day-to-day lives. The premise of this statement is that no one can know exactly how it is to live life like another. Many social programs feature cumbersome application processes and barriers that prevent access for those who require assistance most. These restrictions imply that those that are in impoverished situations are not capable of responsible decision-making. Universal basic income, on the other hand, restores control and freedom back to individuals. The idea of implementing a universal basic income program is not a new idea. In fact, there are pilot programs and studies dating all the way back to the 60s exploring this. Within the last decade, 3 studies conducted in India stand out as the most intriguing because they paid special attention to effects on women. One was in Delhi, 2 were in Madhya Pradesh, done for 1 year from 2011 to 2012. These studies were conducted by Self-Employed Women's Association. The study in Delhi replaced subsidized food with unconditional cash transfers to households below the poverty line. This pilot gave a randomly selected group of households condition-free money to the eldest female in the household, which was the experimental group, and the rest were not given any money in the control group. The Madhya Pradesh studies were conducted across multiple tribal villages. Each person in the experimental group was given unconditional cash, with the children's cash going to their mothers, and the control group wasn't getting any. Both groups were surveyed throughout the pilots. There were 5 major effects found from these studies: welfare effects, equity effects, economic growth effects, empowerment effects, and positive effects on negative social behaviors. Looking first at the welfare effects, these studies showed improved nutrition, health, and schooling for female children. Males experienced improvements too, but not as significantly as the girls. Equity effects showed those with lower caste and tribal households gained the most from the money, which led a pathway out of exploitative debt. Possibly the strongest effect was on economic growth. During the pilots, no change in labor force participation was witnessed, only a change in type of participation. There was an increase in income and agency. Women diversified their production and invested in their own account activities, especially in farming, raising livestock, and growing small businesses. Since women became more engaged with multiple activities, they increased their household incomes and gained economic security by having fallbacks. In Madhya Pradesh, pilots 30% of women who received money switched from wage labor to their own account work, and 73% reduced their debt burdens. One example of these studies is Tulsa Bay's experience. Her wages prior were rarely enough to cover her family's needs. Once the pilot started, Tulsa saved the money she was getting and borrowed some to purchase 2 buffaloes. She condensed the milk from the buffaloes and sold it to a sweet shop. This business idea worked, and she didn't need to work as a wage earner anymore. The empowerment effect was seen in evidence of women gaining a voice in their relationships, families, and wider community. Women reported that the pilot enabled them to participate in household spending decisions. 54% reported they shared household income equally compared to 39% in the control group. Lastly, positive effects on negative social behaviors were observed. In many poor households, men's drinking habits were a source of misery within the household and often led to violence. Alcohol consumption leads to increased street crime and sexual harassment. During the pilots, there was no increase in alcohol consumption, and in some places it decreased. When asked why, women pointed to the fact that families were investing in more productive assets and raw materials. This led men working longer hours and having less time to sit around and drink. Women became more assertive, and it was common to see women have more public meetings, and in some cases, working together to protect others from abuse. Surveys done 5 years after the pilots ended showed that many of the beneficial effects lasted. This can be attributed to the sustained growth of income from farming, livestock, and other assets purchased during the pilot. Countless other studies on the effects of using universal basic income programs have taken place across the world. However, most of these studies do not specifically explore benefits to women. They tend to look at overall trends without categorizing groups. This is why we need to conduct more studies and conduct detailed data analysis specifically on the impacts to women. Thank you all very much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Molly, for this very exclusive and to the point thoughts that you've pointed out. I would just translate a bit in Marathi because here a lot of people do not follow English. So मॉलीनी तिच्या भाषणामध्ये एक खूप महत्त्वाचा मुद्दा मांडलाय की महिलांना स्वावलंबी होण्यासाठी एक किमान वेतन अशी काहीतरी योजना असली पाहिजे जेणेकरून महिलांना एक ठराविक रक्कम त्यांच्या अकाउंटला आल्यावर इतर गोष्टींमध्ये त्या स्वावलंबी होऊ शकतील आणि इतर लोकांवरचं त्यांचं जे अवलंबून राहणं आहे असणं आहे हे थोडंसं कमी होऊ शकेल आणि त्या त्यांच्या कामामध्ये पुढे जाऊ शकतील. दिस इज अ व्हेरी बेसिक थॉट दॅट यू पुट अक्रॉस ऑफ द मिनिमम इन्कम and I appreciate your efforts to bring about studies that you have mentioned in India and abroad. So thank you so much for this very thoughtful speech, and we wish you all the best for all your future endeavors, Molly. Thank you so much once again for joining us.